Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Todd Coons, and on this channel I do all kinds of things concerning photography. Today's no exception. I got an exciting video today. I'm excited about what I'm doing today because it's kind of out of my norm. It's not that, well, I don't know. We're going to blend some things that I normally do with some things that I don't normally do. But let me start by saying this. When it comes to giving me gifts for, say, birthday or Christmas, I've become one of those guys that, either my request is way too big or it's small enough that I just go and get it. I'm kind of turning into my dad in that regard because, he was always hard to buy for because, he just go get it himself. I become that guy. But this year on my birthday, my family got me something super cool. They got me this little adapter by Earth. I haven't even opened the box yet. It's been a couple of weeks since I got it. I'm opening it today. But what this does, and let me back up a little bit. A while back, I bought this film camera, and I talked about it on this channel, but I've yet to run a roll of film through it. The reason I got it is it's the exact same setup that my dad had when I was a kid. This was the combination, this particular Canon FTBQL, or his was a B, this is an FTQL, with a 55 1.2 millimeter lens on it. This is what got me excited about becoming a photographer. But I have no real desire to shoot film. I know film is exciting and people are doing it. It's just not something that's super exciting to me to get too deep into. Yes, we're going to run some film through this soon. I got some plans to do some film shooting with it, but I'm not going to do a whole bunch of film shooting just because, number one, it just doesn't appeal to me. I started my career doing a ton of film. I've shot so much film, it's crazy. But there's also an expense to it and some things like that. But I know that the film look and the film craze is huge right now, and clients are even asking for film. I actually heard recently about a wedding photographer who charges extra to shoot a disposable camera at your wedding. They shoot, a roll of film through a disposable camera and charge extra for that. Clients are going for this look these days. So when I learned about an adapter that could take the old Canon lens and put it on my current Fuji digital camera, that kind of piqued my interest. So that's what this whole video is going to be about. Will it give me a film look? Will it give me something unique? I don't know. At the very least, a 55 1.2 lens. We ought to be able to do some fun things with that. So we're going to put the whole thing together. We're going to take one shot here in the studio, kind of a product thing, I think. We'll see how it works. I'm not sure if that's going to work. And then we're going to take a picture of my son. He agreed to pose for me for a portrait. We'll do a really shallow depth of field headshot kind of thing and make it look neat. But yeah, let's open this box, see what we've got, and get into this. Okay, the company that makes this adapter is Earth. I believe that's the way you say it. They're not sponsoring it or anything. It's just the first one that I found online. I think it was 55 bucks. That's fairly reasonable in my humble opinion compared to a new lens or, the amount of money you can spend on photo gear these days is crazy. So 55 bucks isn't too bad. I did have a guy that I met recently said that Earth is one of the more pricey adapters, but he said they're very good. He does a lot of adapting old lenses to his current bodies. So opening it up, there you go. Packed in rubber. That's all there is to it. But I can tell you, it feels very quality, solid. Doesn't feel cheap at all. Let's put it together and see how it works. All right, super snug. That all went together very, very well. Now let me point this out to those of you who are gearheads, if you're paying any attention. This is a Canon FD to Fuji X mount. This is actually an FL lens, which is a series, I believe, before the FD. The mount is the same. This happens to be a breech mount, if you are a Canon person. But my understanding is it should work just fine. The FD lenses talked a little bit more to the camera bodies than the FL lenses. But we should work just fine. Okay, so I'm just kind of winging this. I'm not reading any manuals. Not that there's any manuals that came with the adapter itself, but I've not done any YouTube searching or anything like that. I'm just kind of winging it. Obviously, this is a manual focus lens, so I've put it on manual focus here. I've got the camera set up that when you go to focus in manual focus with a Fuji lens, it'll zoom in and get tighter. It's not doing that, so I need to play and see if that's something that I'm missing. I don't have the focus peaking or anything like that set, which I think I probably can do, which might aid in manually focusing. However, exposure, I don't know if you guys can see this, but as I change my settings, the exposure preview is working, so that's great. Doesn't want to take a photo. All right, let me figure out what I'm doing wrong. We'll get this right. Okay, after about 5-10 minutes, I figured it out. On this camera, on a Fuji, I don't know how easily I can show it to you again. I don't know. Somewhere in the menus, I had to change shoot without a lens to off. I had that on. No, backwards. I had it turned off. So in other words, if there wasn't a lens on here, you couldn't take a picture. When I had it set in that mode, I guess the camera's not recognizing this old lens, so it wouldn't fire. I turned that off, and now I can take a picture. So I think we're good to go. Voila. Okay, like I said, I'm going to do 2 photographs. I'm going to do a little setup in the studio here and do that. Then I'm going to get it set up, take a photograph of my son. That should be cool. And we'll see what kind of look we get out of this old film lens. My guess, I'm going to be honest with you, it may look just like shooting digital, because I have the feeling this glass is super sharp, because this was a nice quality lens in the day. Now, it probably doesn't have the coatings and stuff like that that a newer lens would have. But I have the feeling we can get some really sharp, crisp looking images out of it. So will it look like film? I don't know. We'll see. I am excited about the 1.2, and if it works well, this is going to add a lens to my arsenal in my daily work that I will probably implement. I've got it set up pretty cool, and it's a pretty simple little shot. I turned the camera vertical, put up a black background, and I've just got one simple softbox sitting over this coffee mug to make kind of a neat, simple black and white shot. But let me show you something that's kind of neat, because focusing through this camera with an old manual focus lens is a little tricky. Now there are some assists in the Fuji menu to make it a little easier, but let me show you this one, because this one is kind of cool. Okay, so this, I think it was called split image. But look at it as I focus. It literally splits the image. And where I want to be in focus in the front of the glass, I can just line up that image. Obviously it's out of focus in the back, but on that front edge, that split image has lined up, and it's all good to go. So I wish I had a bigger piece of plexiglass, but that's all I've got, so we'll deal with what we have. Focus. Fire. Awesome. Okay, let me show you what I got. There we go. That's kind of a fun shot. It'll be interesting to see when I get it into the computer if it looks like it was shot on a film camera, if it has any unique traits to the lens. We'll have to see. Okay, so here's my next setup. Camera right there, softbox right there. I am going to have my son standing right underneath it. And then I've got this LED light over here, which, as you can see, is putting a little bit of light on the side of my face. The cool thing about a 1.2 lens is I've got that softbox, the light that's in the softbox, down at 1/64th power. So it doesn't take very much power to put out f1.2, which, number one, works the strobe a whole lot less. Recycle time is going to be faster. Flash duration is going to be a lot faster. And I might be able to pick up that LED light without a real issue. Normally, if I'm at f8 and pumping out a lot of power from my strobe, it's going to take a very long exposure to combine with that ambient light. So I might be able to blend the two a little bit here. I just want a little bit of kicker accent light on his face. But he's going to come down. We're going to do a kind of head and shoulders kind of thing. Utilize that shallow depth of field. And it should be neat. Okay, so there you have it. When I initially look at these photographs, I really probably wouldn't know that they were shot with an old lens like this. They really look just like anything else from my Fuji lenses. So I'm not gaining a film look, I don't think, just because I'm using an old vintage lens. Does it look different? Yeah, there's some of those chromatic aberrations on the coffee mug. So I'm thinking the coatings on these older lenses is probably not as phenomenal as a newer lens today. So there's probably going to be some lens flare, some aberrations, things like that I can more easily get. That if I want them, great. If I don't want them, I'm going to have to be a little more careful. What I'm really excited about this, and once I got things going, by the way, once I got it set up to shoot without a lens because the camera isn't recognizing the lens, once I got that, it was flawless. It worked fantastic. It was a little tricky to focus. I'm just going to have to work through that, I think, and get better at it and turn the peaking on or something. That split image thing worked great on the mug. It wasn't as easy to see when I was photographing my son. So I'm going to have to work through some of the focusing issues. Other than that, it worked fantastic. And where I'm really excited about being able to shoot with this lens is the 55mm 1.2. That's going to be a lot of fun to play with and to do some artistic things with. Fuji sells a 50mm f1. It's like a $1,500 lens. So for a $100 old vintage camera and lens and a birthday gift, I now have something very equivalent to what would normally cost me $1,500 from Fuji. But okay, so what I'm going to do with these images, in my mind, I'm thinking they both need to be black and white. I'm going to put some film borders on them because we're kind of emulating that film look. By and large, I'm going to show these to you, except for converting to black and white, pretty much straight out of camera. I'm not going to do a lot of anything to them. And I will end this video showing you the final product, and I invite you guys to let me know what you think. If you guys are using adapters, tell me the goods, the bads, the experiences you guys have had, because this may open up a lot of different things to my shooting, to my artistic type work, which I'm excited about. It may push me to do some more creative things. But let me know what you guys are up to with shooting with adapters and so on and so forth. Let me know what you think of these photographs. Tell me what you think. If you notice the depth of field in that shot with my son, his eyes are in focus, but the tip of his nose and his ears are out. So pretty crazy, but a lot of fun. So Give me a thumbs up if you would, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in the next video.